Hey there, and welcome to This Explainer. Okay, so today we're going to literally pop the hood on modern enterprise automation. We constantly hear about the quote unquote magic of business automation software, but today we're looking at the actual fundamental coding logic that makes the whole shebang possible. Let's look at the ultimate dream here: faster operations, fewer errors, better customer experiences, and of course, higher profit margins, all while keeping your headcount totally static. Automation software is always touted as the magic wand to turn that dream into a reality. But how exactly does it pull that off under the surface? Well, here is our roadmap for figuring that out. We'll start with the automation need, then dive into understanding control structures. From there, we'll break down sequential, conditional, and iterative flow, and wrap up with real-world automation implementation. Let's jump in. Section 1. The automation need. Pressure to do more. Look, when organizations just rush in blind without a real plan, automation can quickly turn into a tangled mess. We're talking projects that become overly complex, incredibly costly, or just flat out fail to deliver results. Plus, if you're in a regulated industry, you absolutely need highly secure, on-premise, and compliant environments. You can't just throw software at a problem and hope it sticks. You need a highly structured, logical blueprint. Section 2. Understanding control structures, the hidden engine. So, right at the very core of that blueprint are these things called control structures. Think of them as self-contained, analytical decision makers that just work silently in the background. They're constantly crunching data, dictating exactly which direction a workflow should take based on very specific parameters. And here is the crazy part. Literally every single automated business process, no matter how ridiculously advanced it might seem, is built entirely on just three fundamental pillars of logic. You've got sequence logic, selection logic, and iteration logic. That's it. Section 3. Sequential, step-by-step flow. The true beauty of sequential flow is really in its straightforward simplicity. Basically, the computer receives a set of instructions and executes explicit, numbered steps in a very obvious serial order. Unless you specifically command it otherwise, it is strictly going from step 1 to step 2 to step 3. No detours. And in the real world, this strict step-by-step logic mirrors exactly how successful automation is implemented in a business. You really have to move sequentially, from your initial planning straight through to optimization. You can't just skip step 2 and magically expect step 4 to work, right? Section 4. Conditional, making business decisions. But what happens when your workflow hits a crossroads? A simple sequence just isn't going to cut it anymore. That is where selection or conditional flow comes in. A single alternative is your basic if statement. If a condition is true, take an action. Then you have the double alternative, which acts as an if-else statement. If a condition is true, take route A. Otherwise, well, take route B. But workflows get complicated, right? For highly complex situations, programs use multiple alternatives. By stacking if-else-if statements, the software can map out a massive web of branching paths. The entire flow dynamically adapts depending on the exact conditions it encounters right in that specific moment. It's kind of like a choose-your-own-adventure book, but for data. Let me give you a concrete example of how this saves businesses massive amounts of time and legal risk. Take a platform like Think Automation evaluating strict U.S. email retention laws. Instead of having a human manually read through emails, conditional logic just takes over. If an email meets criteria A, retain it safely. Else, if it meets criteria B, securely delete it. It is autonomously meeting complex privacy expectations without breaking a sweat. Section 5. Iterative, automating repetitive tasks. Okay, when software needs to handle the absolute heavy lifting of endless repetition, it turns to iteration, specifically loops. You've got a repeat for structure, which loops a task from an initial value to an end value. Like saying, send exactly 100 emails. Then there's the repeat while structure. This keeps looping endlessly as long as a specific condition is true, and it only stops when that status finally changes. Now, this looping logic, it is the absolute workhorse of modern sales automation. Just imagine a sales team completely freed from tedious manual follow-ups, finally able to spend 100% of their day actually talking to hot leads. Iterative logic automatically loops through databases, repeatedly scoring leads and sending messages for every single new prospect over and over while a campaign remains active. It's a total game changer.
Section 6. Real-world automation implementation. Let's pull all this together.
When we zoom out and look at the big picture, we can clearly map these abstract coding concepts directly to the enterprise workflows they power. Sequential logic gives us that essential step-by-step framework for implementation. Conditional logic provides the if-else decision-making power to safely navigate strict compliance rules. And iterative logic, well, that acts as the tireless engine looping through endless lead management tasks. And the outcome of all this? By understanding these foundational building blocks, you realize you aren't just buying another piece of software. You are strategically applying sequential, conditional, and iterative logic to literally eradicate your daily bottlenecks. And honestly, that is what unlocks genuine, long-term operational scale. So, I'm going to leave you with this to ponder as you look at your own daily processes. Are you lacking a sequential roadmap? Do you need conditional rules to navigate a sea of complex data? Or do you just need an iterative loop to finally rescue your team from endless, repetitive data entry? Think about it. Which of these 3 logic structures will unlock the most long-term value for you? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.